We were talking in Crested Butte about the runners that you're hoping to work with, which are those people who are like, the 95% of the running community who doesn't have a coach, who's like, yeah, I don't, I'm not worthy kind of a thing. You have these conversations with a lot of people, whether it's in the training logs or coaching calls or emails or whatnot. What would you say to someone who's like, damn, I love this 70-minute conversation that these two guys just had. I'm not as serious about running as they are. Or maybe I am, and maybe I want to, I don't know what to do. Like, what do you say to that person who's made it this far in the podcast? So thank you. What do you say to that person?
It's going to be really individualized, to be quite. I don't have like a blanket statement, but I would probably, start somewhere around, what are their thoughts and beliefs around running, and kind of try to, walk them through a similar exercise that I've just done with you, where we start to try to uncover some of the things that lie underneath the behaviors, the way we view ourselves, all of that stuff. Because I think when we start to bring that to the surface, then we can start to realize, okay, well, why don't you think you're a good match for coaching? Well, running is an individual sport. So, why bring someone else into it? Well, my response to that might be, well, you need to dream bigger. And here's a litmus test for whether what you're dreaming about is big or not. If it's big, it requires help. If it doesn't require help, you need to dream bigger. You need to literally dream bigger. Like something you think you can accomplish on your own, that's a small thing when we really zoom out and think about it. Big stuff requires inner transformation. It requires help. It requires developing a new focus, new beliefs, all sorts of stuff that are integral in that process. And that's why you want to have a coach, because they can help facilitate that for you and help you grow into that and give you some of the motivation, whatnot. Why you might want to have a community involved in that is because when you have examples of other people who are going after it, who aren't afraid to dream big or are scared but are doing it anyways, and you see them go after it, maybe they swing and they miss, maybe they hit a home run or a grand slam like you did this weekend. That is motivation. It's collective motivation. And when everybody's involved in that process, the tide does raise all the boats. And it's incredibly motivating. And that's that's what we have going on at Microcosm, which makes it so special. When you see other people are involved in the process in the same way you are, in parallel ways as you're motivated. You're more motivated to stay on track and to stay consistent. And so, for me, I look at all of our athletes when we do our Rad Weekend updates and round up all the accomplishments for a week. And I'm an elite athlete and have been a professional athlete. And I'm like, wow, by God, look at all of this endless stoke, that I get to take away from this. And it really does perpetuate the process forward for me. And it does for the other athletes too. And it's the same with the struggles and the failures that are inevitable and inherent and part of this process and have to be normalized. What you were mentioning earlier, which I thought was so important, we're really touching on almost like a belief that was coming up for you with regard to what motivates you. It's doing things that are challenging to help show other people that they can do it too. And it's okay if you swing and miss, and it's okay if you swing and get really close and still miss. And I think that is one of the defining parts about working with Microcosm is we normalize that. And it's not just through a coach, it's through a community. That means hundreds of people are normalizing that with you and are helping you along the way to feel better about those misses, because we're often as athletes afraid to develop a mindset that allows us to go out there and swing freely every time because of the fallout from a big miss. I feel shame, I feel guilt, it hurts me, my ego. What are the perceptions that other people have of me when I go for it and it doesn't pay off? We have all of those thoughts and those feelings, that stuff and more come up for people, and it makes them afraid to go for it. And I want to be the voice of reason and be no, that's what you want. You want to swing and realize you're okay if you don't make it. Like, you are amazing. You are whole and complete just how you are, with or without that stuff. And so, yes, you should go for it and invest in yourself. And that's integral in the process, like the investing. As an athlete, you have to make a financial investment. You determine, how committed you are by how much you pay for coaching, and or how much you pay for events, or whether you're able to fly here or there. And yeah, there are some barriers to that, and a good coaching organization will work with you in regard to that. But in the end, you demonstrate your commitments in many different ways. And like, if you're an athlete who just doesn't think you need a coach, I'm going to call you out and say, well, you're not committed. You're just not as committed as you say you are to the process. If you really want to grow and you really want to pursue your potential, you have to have help. It's too big of a thing to explore your potential to not have people help you in it. And that's where I think like the everyday athletes get wrong, is they just kind of like trivialize what they're doing. And I think it's a big thing. And that's why I have a coaching organization, because I want to be there to support people in discovering that and then finding where their potential is in that process.